Hi guys, and welcome to my channel. My name is Ayapakhalas, and if you're new here, welcome to the family. So as you can tell by the title of the video, in today's video I'm going to be talking about how I and you can get into the tech industry without a computer science or an STEM degree in South Africa, STEM being science, technology, engineering and mathematics. So you can get into the tech industry without a degree in those fields. But how? So I will start with my journey and how I got into the tech industry, and then I will be sharing some tips on how you can also get into the tech industry wherever you are in South Africa. So let's go back a bit to 2019. So 2019, as many of you may know, I had graduated from university and I was taking a gap year. So as I was taking a gap year, I was looking for something else to do because I knew I didn't want to work in the field that I had studied. So I was just out looking for something else that I would possibly fall in love with. And then I met somebody who told me about coding, right? So obviously I had heard of coding before. I had a friend in varsity who was doing a degree in computer science, but I'd never ever had a conversation with her about what exactly she was doing in the degree or what kind of work she would do after completing the degree. So when I spoke to this person, they asked me, hey, well, the conversation wasn't even about me. They were talking about something else, and I was like, okay, what is this? What are you talking about? And they're like, oh, are you interested? I'm like, yes, I am. It's like, oh, I thought you were in agriculture. I'm like, nah, let's put that aside. But anyway, yeah, so they told me about how you can become a programmer or a developer or a software engineer or any other career in tech without necessarily having a degree. So specifically, the person told me about an institution. Is it an institution? An academy? Yeah, called Project CodeX in Cape Town. So they told me about Project CodeX, and they're like, if you're really interested in this thing, I could take you to CodeX in Cape Town. You could see the environment for yourself and then ask questions from the people at CodeX and see if this is something you'd be interested in. So prior to that, I'd also done my own research. I had watched a couple of YouTube videos. I had read a lot of articles as well about coding, programming, being a self-taught programmer without a degree. So I'd already seen that this was something that was possible, but I didn't necessarily know how I could achieve it. So going to CodeX, that was the goal, to be able to see how I could do it as well as how other people are doing it and how they have done it. So I went to CodeX, we drove to CodeX, I saw the space, I met young people there, I met the CEO of CodeX, I met the administrator at CodeX. We had a conversation with the administrator and she basically told me what the whole project CodeX is about. And then after that, I decided that I want to apply to this thing. So what is Project CodeX? So Project CodeX is like a mentoring institute or project in Cape Town where they take in young people who have matriculated in South Africa and they train them to become programmers, developers, agile coaches, any career in the tech industry that you would want to take on. Project CodeX kind of provides a starting point for you to expand in whatever direction you would want to expand in. So what is the process? So there's an online application. You fill in the form, you send out your details. They also ask you to create a GitHub account. So they'll give you all the necessary details of creating a GitHub account, of creating a free Bootcamp account, and all these accounts. They'll basically guide you through it. And if the steps they provide on the website are still not clear enough for you, you can call them, you can WhatsApp them, and they'll take you through all the steps on the application process. So once you've completed the application and you've created a GitHub account and a Free Code Camp account, you then complete activities on Free Code Camp. Now these activities are activities in HTML, CSS, as well as JavaScript. So I completed those, and after that I was called in for an interview. Now basically the interview is not necessarily to say it determines whether or not you'll get into CodeX. The interview is just a way of them checking that you actually completed the Free Code Camp exercises by yourself. So they'll ask you questions, very simple questions like what's a variable, what is a conditional statement. So these are things you would see if you really did complete the Free Code Camp by yourself. So it would be very easy to answer those questions. So after the interview, then you move on to the next stage of the application process, which is the bootcamp. So the bootcamp was 2 weeks long last year. It was also 2 weeks long this year. I don't know how long it'll be in the future, but for the past 2 years that I've known CodeX, the bootcamp has been 2 weeks. So what happens with the bootcamp is, for me, I was actually late with the bootcamp because the previous year I was working and I had to resign. So my resignation period, serving my period, ended on a Tuesday, and the bootcamp had started on a Monday. So I joined the bootcamp on the Wednesday. So that was on the third day, which means I was late with the bootcamp. Now everybody had already been introduced on what they had to do and everything else. So I was just handed a laptop and, hey, log into this portal. So you log into the CodeX portal, which is their own designed learning portal that they designed themselves, with activities and coding problems that you can solve. So for the bootcamp, they gave me the laptop and there was just these problems in front of me, and I'm like, okay, what do I do now? But the mentors are very helpful. They explain everything to you. So they'll help you with just understand. So the number one thing that they teach in the beginning stages of the bootcamp, as well as the program, is logic. So I think that's a very important part of being a developer and writing code. You need to have, you understand logic, because everything is centered around the logic of whatever it is that you are building. So they will teach you that, and how you can break down coding problems into coming up with a solution. So all of that, they'll guide you through that. So I wouldn't say the bootcamp was a breeze. Well, it was not a breeze, it was hectic. There were also some activities where we were challenged to answering some questions, and you would get scored and all of that. So all of that would then determine whether or not you are getting into the mentorship program. So after the bootcamp, which was after 2 weeks, I was then told that I was admitted into the program. Now what does that mean? So CodeX basically has 2 one-year programs. I'll say that again. They have 2 one-year programs. So there's a JavaScript 1-year program as well as a Java 1-year program. So when you go in, you can go into either one of them. You can go into either the JavaScript class or you can go into the Java class. But the Java class is recommended for people who have somewhat experience in coding. So if you don't have any sort of experience, they recommend that you go into the JavaScript class first, and then if you're still interested in Java, you can do that the following year. So for me, I like to believe that I was fortunate, because when I came in and I decided that I was going to do the JavaScript, because I didn't have any prior coding experience, they were also looking for more girls to join the Java class, because there were less females in the Java class. So they called me in and they asked me if I really wanted to be in the JavaScript class, and they did ask me to join the Java class, 1, because they needed more females in the Java class, 2, because they thought with my previous university degree I would be able to pace myself enough to learn Java at a fast pace. So that was how I got into Java. So like I said, I did the Java last year, and then so what the Java course entailed was there were two different parts of it. Well, they integrate into one essentially, but there's the Oracle certification that you need to get at the end of the completion of the course. So while you're coding the project, you also need to be going through exam preparation. So there's a textbook for that, there's mock examinations, there's everything, and you also need to be coding at the same time. So the coding is projects that are designed specifically by CodeX suited for the Java curriculum. So you start with a small project and then you go to a bigger project, and so I think there's 3 projects for the Java curriculum, but everything is self-paced. So the mentors will be there to encourage you to finish whatever it is that you start, but everything, there's no pressure, there's no deadline, there's no due date. You're not told that, okay, here's a project, build a banking app, or build a greetings app, or build a bicycle app, whatever app you're building. You're not told, okay, build this app, we're giving you 2 weeks to build this app. No, it's okay, we're asking you to do this. They don't tell you how to do it, they just tell you do this, because they know that we have different logic and different ways of thinking and coming up with solutions for different problems, and that's what they try to get out from you. What is your solution to the problem? And then you can then work with a mentor, and there's also your peers, everybody else in the class that you can work with and collaborate with and ask questions. Just make sure you don't copy code from each other and you're fine. And then there's the exam part of it. So the exam part of it, this is an Oracle examination, like I said, which means that it's an internationally recognized examination. It's not a CodeX exam. You don't take the exam at CodeX. You just prepare at CodeX, and then you book with an external examiner that is going to help. It's like booking for a driver's license, if I were to say. So you study with whatever driving school you're with. Project CodeX is the driving school in this case, and they'll prepare you for the exam in the best way that they can, with also your efforts. And I cannot drill this enough, that your efforts are so important, because it is a self-paced environment. So the driving school, Project CodeX, helps you prepare for the exam, and then you book at the traffic department, which is Oracle, an Oracle approved center in this case. So I took mine at a Pearson Institute, and that's where I took my exam. So the pass mark for the examination is 65%. It's not an easy exam. It is one of the toughest exams I have ever taken in my entire life. That thing is hard, okay? So you need to be really prepared for that examination. So once you pass the exam for the Java, then there's recruiters that come. They already have a company that they work very closely with, that if you pass the exam, the company accepts you into the company and you start working for them. But that's not the only company that hires people from Java. They also have other recruiters who come in and they interview the Java coders, and they then decide which ones they would select. So for me, I was selected by a company that is in Gauteng, so I had to move to Gauteng and all of that. So now I live in Gauteng, and that is how I got into the tech industry without a computer science degree in South Africa. So it's very much possible. I know there's a couple other institutions like CodeX in different provinces that you can learn with. All you need to do is do your research. I know CodeX has a remote program now, but obviously you'd have to also follow up with them, with CodeX, and find out if they do things remotely. But when I was there, they didn't have any remote students, but now because of COVID, I think they do take people remotely. So again, it's up to you. You need to do your research and find out if you can get into CodeX. And if you don't get into CodeX, there's plenty of other opportunities. You just need to do your research. I think I might put up a video with advice on other institutions in South Africa, or I don't know, coding academies in South Africa, coding bootcamps that you may also be interested in. If you want that, you can ask me and I will do so. So yeah, that's it for today's video, and I hope you do learn a thing or two, and I hope it helps somebody who's stuck and really doesn't know where to go from here with their degree or whatever. I really hope this video gives you motivation to try something new. Even if it's not coding, just try something new and you don't know what the future may hold.